Welcome back to another Agency Connect one-on-one. I'm here with Alex Vasquez of Digi Savvy, who lives in LA and has better weather than where I am in Toronto. Thanks for being here. This Agency Connect one-on-one is unofficially sponsored by Ricola and milk.
Ricola.
When will this pandemic ever end? I don't have COVID, but I have everything else. That's how I feel. So I invited Alex here because he's built a pretty interesting agency. We talked before, and you had this view at one point of growing to ginormous sizes and realizing like you have to think about scalable margins as an agency owner. At what point does it matter to build an actual business? What do you need to do? And he focused his business on getting sustainable margins by having sustainable work, around core tech like WordPress, ActiveCampaign, LearnDash, and other products, but also around managing his time efficiently. So thanks for being here. Tell us about yourself, what DigiSavvy is, who your customers are.
Yeah. Senior, thanks for having me, first of all. So my agency is called DigiSavvy. We're a boutique digital marketing studio, as you said, based in LA. But everyone always asks me, where in LA? And then, because that's always the question, because LA is huge. So we're actually in Pasadena, which technically isn't a part of LA City when you look at the city maps, but we're like 15 minutes up the road. 15 minutes. So as you mentioned, we focus on building solutions, business platforms using WordPress and ActiveCampaign. Even those are cornerstone pieces of our solution stack. I wouldn't say like those are necessarily the things that we are upfront and promoting. Like we don't promote the platform as much as we promote the solution.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's actually one of the core messages. No client, as much as everyone should know what AppBind is and be an AppBind customer who listens to this, because we help you manage the tech. Like, know our position, like everyone's position. The client doesn't buy the pipes and wax seals from a plumber when you're renovating a bathroom. They're buying a bathroom. You got to solve the problem. The technology is only the tools. So tell us, like, what is the solutions that you sell? How do you position yourself to clients, and what kind of clients are you going after?
So one of the things that we haven't been able to do successfully is to really niche down. So we have clients who are mom and pop shops. We have small retailers. We've worked with Reebok. We've worked with other government agencies. So really, the solutions that we offer are web-based, but we've built lawyer booking systems for attorneys that we turn around and resell. We've built vacation request systems for government agencies, and we've built a lot of standard brochureware websites. So, and I guess how we set ourselves apart is that we know it's never about the website. We know it's never about the thing that we're building. It's always about the thing that we're solving. So we functionally just use the technology that we know best to provide exactly the solution that people are asking for. So that's it. So we really focus on just understanding our research and in using that know-how and that understanding to build something that helps our clients achieve whatever it is that they're trying to do or wherever they're trying to get to.
Well, I think one of the more interesting things about your agency is how you've built kind of two pipelines. One are your typical SMB kind of customers, and then the other one are government agencies, which are often the big whales that make payroll happen. And I'd like to dive into that later on. I think that's an interesting approach, because I think a lot of agencies don't even look at their local public sector as an opportunity. But once you get in, it can be pretty sustainable. But go ahead.
Oh, no. I love listening to it, and I did not want to interrupt you there. But yeah, it's interesting because it was a sector that I was never really intent on serving as I started out. So yeah, we can definitely talk about that more in a bit here.
Yeah, like let's do the normal thing we do. So we always do this quick shaping questions just so people are listening in. As agencies, the whole point of this podcast is to like learn amongst ourselves as agencies how to become a sustainable business and not just be on that treadmill selling labor for money and having payroll turnover and having this trap of revenue being payroll. It's terrible. So let's talk a little bit about how the shape of your business. First, pretty quick question: like how many people work at DigiSavvy?
So right now we have 6 people. So 4 of us are full time, and then we've got a couple contractors.
Are those contractors pretty steady, or they come and go, or how does it work?
They're steady. So we contract with a designer, and then we have a developer who is very talented, who was full time with us at one point, but now is part time because he's working on other stuff too. So, and I don't like parting with people, so I try to keep people around as long as they can manage to deal with me. So,
well, I mean that's actually one of the biggest risks in agency world, right?
My mom's watching this, so you better be nice to me.
I have this whole thing about mom-based marketing. We can just ruin this whole podcast. I can talk about my new campaign for MBMs over ABM. But it's another thing.
I love it.
And then how many clients do you carry at any given time?
So okay,
I mean, like active projects.
Well, so active projects, we limit that. We limit it to no more than 5 per quarter. So by an active project, that means like we're building out something new, like new features. It might be a new website. It might be a new set of features, something like that. So something that requires like a good solid estimate. So we keep that to 5 or less per quarter.
Okay. And are you project, retainer, hourly? What's your commercials for a typical customer contract?
So as we've discussed, we haven't really talked about it here yet, but so at one point I was doing hourly, and then within the last year and a half, I've switched over to fixed fee billing, which there's a lot of colleagues I have in this field that think like, dude, are you out of your mind? And maybe I am a little bit, but so we do fixed bid on all of our projects.
Well, we're going to get into it. That is amazing. And do you have any recurring trailing retainers for?
Oh, yeah. So we do. So we have a mix of retainers and then just maintenance contracts. So it's a good mix of recurring revenue for us. So the
maintenance contracts.
Yes.
I mean, especially because you're a certified consultant of like ActiveCampaign and these other products. So
that's correct.
Yeah. So, and are you also picking up the resale margins as well on some of these products, or?
So normally I don't, because I don't always want to be on the hook for that, which service like AppBind kind of seems to solve for that sort of thing. So normally I don't do that. It turns out it's a magic piece of software but I think for that reason, like if I had known about AppBind sooner, it's definitely something that I would have.
I'll pitch you anyway. I'll pitch everyone. That's fine.
Well,
I'm just curious though, because we're gonna get into like part of your event. This is all the pre-questions everyone knows, but part of it is like how many customers do you have in your book of business that you go back to, because I think that's one of the key elements of your story.
So I mean we've got maybe like 120 130 customers or clients either active or that we've previously worked with.
Wow.
So and the reason, and I want to go back just really quick, so I keep 5 projects per quarter, no more, and that's by choice, and because I've done more projects than that. I've carried 10 to 12 projects, sometimes even more than that, during a 3-month period, and it's insanity. I've stressed myself out, and I got to a point where I limited the number of active projects that we did because I know what it feels like to have like a sane cadence to the type of work that we do. And again, like a year and a half ago, I really sat down and tried to figure out like what made the most sense, like what was the cadence of work that would make me happy and keep me sane, and what were the types of clients that we wanted to work with. who made sense. So I think every agency owner, they either start out answering those questions, or they figure out that they need to ask those questions at some point along the way.
100%. Like one of the common things we get to, I mean, my last right now, like, do you know what your turn-away rate is? Like how many clients come to you, you go, like, no, thank you this quarter. What percentage is it?
It's, I don't know the percentage, but I know that I turn away more than I accept.
Oh,
So
well over 50%.
I would say it's over 50%.
Yeah, that's good. We found that the minimum target would be 20% to survive any up or downturn in the market. And then you can raise your rates as a result. 50%, you can push your rates up even higher and higher.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, when your colleagues are telling you, well, let's get into it. Your colleagues are giving you a hard time for hourly versus fixed. I don't think you have that problem if you have a turn-away rate of 50%. So, what do you say to them? I mean, like,
well, I think for me, part of the reason why I wanted to get away from hourly billing is, at least in my case, and I don't expect that this is true for everyone, but in my case, like, they were conversations. They were the cause of conversations with clients, like, that were nitpicking over hours, for things maybe, like we didn't get something right the first time, but we still billed for our time, right? And like, those are conversations I just don't want to have with people personally. Like, it just arguing over hours is not a good use of anybody's time. And I think really the conversation needs to shift from the hours that we spend to the value that we provide. And I think when you do something fixed price, you really center that conversation on what's being provided and what the outcome is. So those are the conversations I would rather have. And that was kind of the impetus for shifting from hourly. And that's what I tell folks, like, you may want to have those conversations. I don't. I believe transparency. Transparency is a core value that I have, that my business has. And with respect to transparency, sometimes it gets you into a lot of trouble, because people will see, oh, why did you charge me this much money for project management? Like, I don't feel like I should have to pay for that. And it's just weird stuff. And then you kind of figure out, like, the conversations that come up as a result of just too much information there. And you want people to focus on the really important stuff. So I don't know if that answers the question or not.
Well, that's I mean, what FreshBooks, Mike, actually, the CEO of FreshBooks, founder of FreshBooks, I guess he's executive chairman now, but he wrote this whole book around value versus hourly pricing. But the data was very clear. Not only did your revenue go up on value-based pricing because you can push your rates up, but the clients were happier and they would stick longer, because as it turns out, a theme that you'd hear on these podcasts over and over again is, like, clients are all the same, whether you are a digital marketer as you are now, or an auto mechanic trying to get someone's car fixed and go to work tomorrow, or a nail salon on a bride's wedding day. They're all the same. You're selling to a client who's freaking out, and all you're trying to get them is calm and control of their lives again. And so everything you put in front of a client, they're going to think is a 5-alarm fire. So it's a 1 hour, like 30-minute project management time. They're going to evaluate it as if it's a decision they had to make. It's like, they don't, like, what is the result you're trying to achieve? That what they want for you to do is just take care of that result of the problem, and then the more you put in front of them to decide, like, the more problems you'll end up having, because they'll fight everything.
If there was a like button, I'd be smashing that like button several times. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So, but when you went from hourly to fixed, right, you must have changed your position to clients from being more hourly. Also makes people more like, they position themselves more like handymen, like they're I can do everything, and they talk about all these tactical things they're doing. Like, a handyman, we can talk about, carpentry and plumbing and, like, drywall, but like a general contractor will tell you about renovating your house, a more result oriented thing. Did you change your position of how you approach clients from hourly to fixed?
So a little bit. I think your analogy there with the general contractor versus the carpenter and whatnot, it really becomes a strategic versus tactical sort of thing, where in your analogy, maybe the carpenter is a little more tactical. Like, here are the very important things we're going to fix. And, maybe a general contractor is like, we're going to improve how your family exists within your home, or we're going to make your place a more pleasant place to live. And here's how we're going to do it. And so with that in mind, in talking to my own clients and trying to reposition ourselves too, it's like, okay, we're going to position ourselves in such a way that, here are a few ways that you can work with us. We can help drive more leads to your business, or, like, we can help come up with a strategy and then help you execute on that strategy and to improve your business in whichever key ways matter most to you. So it really, again, it's less about the website. It's more about, like, what are we trying to do here? Like, are you trying to exit your business at some point? How can we help you with that? And in really building a solution that helps achieve that. So with that too, it's also a slightly different conversation when we pitch projects and proposals. Providing a few key options to people in how they can work with us that are very tailored to their specific problems that they're trying to solve for. And when we provide those kind of vertical pricing options, it really helps people understand, like, the value that they're getting per option, right? And because for us as agency owners, as freelancers, whatever, there is our cost, the cost of us, for us to do the thing. And then there's the profit that we get from that. And if we can maximize that as much as we can, that's great. For the business owner, for them, it's cost, right? And then, whatever the opportunity is, whatever the benefit or value is that they're getting beyond that. And somewhere in there's an overlap in the profit or the value that we provide to the client, and then the profit that's driven to us as a result of the work, which sounds like I'm just talking word salad here, but it's really about positioning the solution in a way that aligns with the value that the client has, if they can really see it in the pricing and in the work that you're quoting to.
Let's get specific. So, I mean, you went to this transition like less than 2 years ago. So, like, what exactly would have been a fixed, like an hourly based project quote, and how would you talk about it to a client, and what did you have to change? And I assume you made mistakes as you're switching to fixed, and you'd have to adjust it. But what are like the kinds of projects? And how would that change from one form to the other? And I think a lot of agencies going from hourly to fixed are scared of going, well, we'll do marketing, which is usually with some generic, like I'm a handyman, I'll fix stuff. Give me anything, give me work to do, I'll do it. To I will solve this problem, which is a kind of a commitment.
Right.
So you must have gone through this similar change. So what was it like? What were you selling before, and what are you selling now?
So, I mean, it really is like selling widgets versus selling solutions. So specifically, I'll sell you a website. We'll build and design a SEO optimized website for you. And, we're going to do it better than the next person. And you have direct access to us, like whatever the value adds to that project are. And then, as we're transitioning out of that, it's really, we're going to build you a business platform that helps drive leads, but also nurtures them so that you can automatically get more phone calls, that you can book more meetings, that you can sell more things when you're not actively trying to do it. So building an intelligent business platform is part of what we sell. But beyond that too, like when we get to actually the promotional part or the proposal part of it, previously, we would say, okay, we'll build you a custom designed website. The design phase might take, 30 or 40 hours. The build phase might take 40 to 60 hours. And, we'd provide a range, like low end hours and kind of high end hours, right? And maybe like a middle point too. So like we had a way that we would calculate, the possible costs for the project. And, everyone's always going to look at the lower end. It's like, well, what do we got to do to get to the lower end of that? Which for me, it's like, yeah, we can do it at that price, but does it make sense to do it at that price? Will I be as excited about it when I close that project? And 9 times out of 10, I wasn't super excited about closing a project at the lower hourly end.
Yeah, because you're
So
giving them a comparison of input costs rather than output results, and so for them, in their magical thinking head, because they're clients, bless their souls, they can only
yeah,
envision the perfect thing, and so
right.
it's like, well, I can spend less money building the thing that I want, or more money spending the thing I want.
Yeah.
There's no changing in the quality of their dream, right? They always envision the same website, no matter how many hours you put in. So you got to use the language. You have to give them the different visions of what the output's going to look like.
So that's where the fixed price part comes in.
Yeah.
You just hit the nail on the head. There's another person out there who talks about pricing, and I am forgetting his name. So this is not my idea or anything, but it's very standard how things are priced by various companies, right? Like, this is not new stuff, but like, just imagine a pizza, right? You can buy a small pizza, you can buy a medium pizza, you can buy a large pizza. And those are 3 options that you have, right? You're going to get pizza. It's just the amount of pizza that you're going to get. And that will capture a certain segment of the population, right? Some people are going to go for any of those. But then you provide a more horizontal set of options. You provide, like, okay, you can get a pepperoni pizza, you can get a cheese pizza. So you kind of expand the audience by offering different options of those same things. And I think when we talk about fixed bid pricing or pricing for value, we kind of do the same thing there. Like, we say, okay, well, instead of this website, what we'll do is, we'll provide some research for you, the customer, and you can build this website yourself, right? Or option 2, we'll build the website. That's it. Like, we'll make sure it's search engine optimized. Boom, done. You can pay for that, and this is how much it'll cost. Or option 3, not only we're going to build you a whole platform, a system of generating and closing leads that includes, paid advertising, that includes marketing automation, that includes, building landing pages for the things that are really important for your business. And, we price those accordingly. So no matter what we end up getting paid for, whether it's the low end option or the middle option, or like, I'm happier with the amount of output that I'm being paid for, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Well, to me, I learned in my own experience that I was having a really hard time selling generic outcome projects,
Yeah.
because I might get my own personal guilt and responsibility would make me over invest time to make myself happy.
Yeah.
And it was better to give concrete fixed deliverables in phases, each phase being a good stopping point for the project, right? And so I had almost no trouble selling those projects, because you start with like small chunks and go along. I mean, there's lots of different ways of getting there, but what I learned, like, the reason I got there myself, I was reflecting, I was a CMO at Olark. How would I hire contractors? Like, putting myself in the client's shoes. I actually did not want to think. I still don't want to think. Like, I just did a renovation in my house. I don't want to know how you run your business. I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, don't get, like, I'm already screwed for time. Just give me what I want. The end result. I mean, I'm not that rude when I talk to my contractors, but I do try to be the worst client you've ever had. That's what I always joke. No, like, but in my head, I'm like, I don't bother me with those details. And when you're providing too much transparency, you're actually begging the client to project manage you, which is exactly the opposite of what they want.
Yes, that's exactly it. Like, you just put that, like, the whole reason why, I don't like doing hourly, like, that sort of thing. Like, you just summarized it right there. Beautifully done.
Oh, I only started AppBind because I got fired by a client that I basically made project management. So there you go. That's a whole story.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like, our client PTSD definitely informs our process as we move ahead. My own client PTSD is what drove me to limit the number of projects I take on per quarter. So, I hear it.
Okay, let's talk about margin sustainability, because that's actually the whole thing. And first, this is the shibboleth question. Do you have an owner equity account that you systematically put money into after every project?
So I guess we do, and I think like a lot of business owners, there was a book that was really popular. It still is, Profit First.
Yes.
So we basically take that approach, and we divvy up all the incoming revenue to taxes, to profits, to uh, income and payroll, respectively, and then we have an outside account that we send money to every quarter, just as like a company savings account. But like for the profits, we have something. We keep that money, and then we pay out like a quarterly bonus.
Perfect. So many. I mean, that's the thing. You got to plan for the profits in mind, and so.
Yeah, because otherwise, where do they go? I remember that was like my first year or two of business. I saw that I had a profit, but I was like, where the heck is it? Like, where where did my profits go? And because I know they're there, they're there on paper, like they're there in the spreadsheet, but I never saw a penny of it. At least that's what I said. And so the profit first thing really made sense to me, and it saved my bacon too. In like the first year that we had like a really huge profit. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a discipline too, because then if it's not going up, then there's some model problem that you can resolve. Yeah. And then so when you were on fixed, did you also have sustainable profits then too? Or not fixed, I mean hourly. When you're hourly, were you sustainable profits then?
I would say that the profits were more thin, or the profit margin was a lot less. And I think for us, like there's a spreadsheet that we keep our numbers in, and like if we're maintaining like anywhere from like 18 to 22% like margin on our projects throughout the year, then we're doing pretty good. Like as an agency, I try to keep like around the 20% mark, but sometimes we don't hit that. Like this year, we're not in that 20% range. We're actually a little bit lower, but I would say it's been more predictable since we switched to a fixed bid model.
Well, that's the second question. Like, so I think a lot of people who haven't done this, God help them. Let's say a silent prayer for anyone still in hourly. The fear is that you're now taking on a risk of loss because you're not getting paid for like input costs, which is payroll. So how did you control the costs on a fixed bid project when your costs are labor, which is variable?
I mean, I don't think it's really something like I haven't had a fixed bid bite me in the butt often. Like there's been a couple times where, we've reviewed a project, like we did discovery on it, and there was something that we didn't plan for, and like we had to eat the cost, which we didn't lose money on the project, but we ended up just making less on it than what we planned. So I think that, I mean, the way that we structure all of our agreements is, we have a clause that stipulates to an extent where there's kind of like this line that like if there's certain things that just aren't communicated to us in for whatever reason, right? Like that we can come back and we can negotiate like, okay, here's this thing that no one predicted, that no one knew about, what can we do to work together on it? And I've had that conversation once, and it was a really positive conversation. And we were able to work it out. So we still got paid for our time, and the project was a little over budget, but everyone was in understanding of what happened there. So I think it really comes down to just good communication and just knowing and understanding that all stakeholders are acting in good faith. So I've been pretty fortunate on that front.
I find most clients, because they want the project to succeed, are not going to stab their stab their contractor in the middle
Yeah.
of it, for one, and also they understand that you sell time for a living, and if your time is your the project scope is increased, then obviously more time is going to be needed, and they'll negotiate reasonably or work to descope. I mean, and then the ones who don't are actually the ones who are out of cash. That's basically what's happening almost
Right.
always. And then you can
Well,
just have that conversation. Oh, you're just okay. And I usually be honest with them. It's like, oh, are you just trying to conserve cash? We don't need to get into a conflict about that. Then we'll just have to figure out a way to get through this on the current budget. But something has to
well,
give here.
that's a great point too. And something that I've done in the past that I've done on hourly projects is it's like I can remember one project where they wanted like these two sites built, or they wanted one website built, but they thought they were getting two. And the way that I phrased it to them was, okay, well, if you want these two websites, we can do that. But to achieve that, we're going to have to remove scope and time and features from this, from this singular website build to accommodate for this other one. And we got through it. It was a contentious discussion, but yeah. So I think one of the mechanisms that you can use is just communicate, like, we're running into some additional scope. Like here are a couple ways that we can handle it. Like we can proceed and continue to work on it with an understanding that this is going to increase by X amount of money, or we can put that scope off for like a phase 2 or something, and then proceed to finish what we're currently working on. So there's a few ways to go at it for sure.
And then one thing I should ask, I mean, you have 100 and something odd books of clients. Did you review your client history to start figuring out first, like what is the new position of value-based projects? Like how did you like, and then coming up with a time estimate? So do you make a plan for what you're selling, or is it still like every project is a new thought?
Every project is we tried to build like a few like a few styles of projects that we thought would be broadly accepted across any work that our clients needed, but it's always a little bit different. So I think what we've come to is we'll offer like 3 options that are custom tailored to specifically what the client wants. So there's a magic number around 3 options. So whatever we offer, there's going to be 3 options for it. And, we just kind of cut things down in terms of how much involvement is expected from us. So that's kind of how we approach that. But we also reviewed our client list too, to kind of figure out like who were better fits for us. Because, not every client is an ideal fit, as your agency continues to grow and age.
100%.
And sometimes from a budget.
What makes a bad client? I think a lot of people are afraid to turn away clients, but you have like you said, 60% turn away rate. So what goes into a bad client for you? Not like they're bad people, but like what makes them a bad fit?
Just like a poor fit. Yeah. So a poor fit client, it might be clients who just have very exacting demands, and they got to have something right away, but their budget is also kind of small too.
Funny how those go together, isn't it?
It is. And so, we'd start referring clients out to other colleagues, or, we'd send them elsewhere. And in a way, we kind of have that. We've been testing our lead generation forms on our website too. Like, it's not like that on the homepage currently, but we started out the year, like, start here to talk to us. And then we'd ask them 3 questions, like, what do you need? How soon do you need it? How much do you want to pay for it? Right? Like those are basically the 3 questions that we kind of go with. And, if someone chooses the option, like, we need it as soon as possible, we'll redirect them to a page where they can, hire someone off of Upwork, whatever. Right. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the best way to do it, but I think those 3 questions really help us kind of filter which existing clients are good fit versus not a great fit. and we can refer out accordingly. So price, budget, and scope, really.
And then we just talk about the. Let's go back to the government versus SMB.
Sure.
Put a pin on it. I think this is a good time to talk about it again. They're different.
Yeah.
So first, how did you break into public sector contracts? Because there's a lot of work to do that.
Stupid luck. I wasn't even looking for it. So it was so for WordPress, there's a learning management system called LearnDash, and we had a government entity reach out to us they basically gave us an RFP that they wanted us to respond to. So they reached out to us, and it turns out we were the only agency to respond to it. So we got the job. So I had to fly out to Chicago to teach their team how to use LearnDash, and they're like, okay, like as part of this, they're just like, give us a price, and I gave them what I thought was like the quote unquote FU price, because I'm like, I've never done this. I've never flown to a different city to go train people on how to use a thing. And they accepted it. And, I've been working with them ever since. And it's like a 6-figure contract at this point. So that renews annually. So like that's something that really got me into doing more development. And we've gotten a couple more government contracts that way too. But it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. But I got lucky.
Yeah, once you become a preferred vendor, I don't know what level of government that was, but whatever, they usually have preferred vendors, and then once you get past that first hoop, then the projects keep coming. When I was younger in Ottawa, different. I mean, Canada's different than the U.S. for sure for things, but I was living in Ottawa, so lots of government contracts. The consultancy I was at, like half their business I think were government contracts because it's the federal government there. And they had 150 people working for them. Not like headcount is the most important thing, but that's it's quite sustainable. And they will pay because it's not that you're screwing them, as it turns out. There's a lot more work to be done on a government contract than an SMB because there's a lot more hoops to jump through.
For sure.
So are they more profitable, these government contracts?
Yes. Yeah. Because I mean, you basically agree on a price, and sometimes there's a scope of work, but in what I found, given the size of my agency and the size of the contracts that are in place, like generally the contract value itself far outpaces the scope of work that's being asked for. And which in a way I don't want to call it a cheat code, but it's nice to have. And the one thing I would say too is you always want to be mindful of where your revenue comes from in terms of what percentage comes from which type of client, because when you have like a large outsized amount of revenue coming from one specific client, it presents risk to your agency too. So it just means that you need to plan for that potential loss of income at some point. So planning for that involves business development and all sorts of creative stuff. So
let's say the military or something like that. Everyone I've seen who's become totally tied to public sector contracts, because they go through budget cycles too. It's great when it's going well, but they go off cycle and wait times other people aren't. It's always good to have private and public, which is what you do. And I should ask you this before we go. You're kind of unique in that you have a position on your website around being a technology partner, WordPress, ActiveCampaign, LearnDash, and then you have this government, public sector client base and your SMB client base that are more about business problems. Tell me a little bit more about how useful or not useful being a claimed partner of these tech companies have been for your agency growth, and like what's been useful and what has been disappointing for you.
Well, I think As you join different technology partner programs, I think that the obvious benefit is that it acts as a trust signal, because potential customers, they look at you, they're like, okay, well, this person's trusted by this large company. But I think that the disappointing part is that when people find you that way, they're usually very early on in their search process. And I think the earlier your leads are in that research process, the more challenging it can be to convert them into a customer, provided they're a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if there's a way that you can get them further down the research path, that's more ideal. So, and that might look like like an interpersonal recommendation, like, Sunir, introduces, one of his agency customers to, a potential person who has a need for those services, right? Like that interpersonal, I think referral is a lot more powerful than the more generic research-based ones that you find at the top of the funnel. I'm not sure if that makes sense or not.
It actually 100% makes sense. It's interesting hearing it articulated from an agency. So in my other actual AppBind work, not this podcast work.
Yeah.
So, I live in this agency SaaS world. And one thing that I'm enumerating through my constant interactions, because I represent you and also your customers in some degree, and not the SaaS companies, as much as they think I represent them because I run their trade association. But customer first, then you, then the SaaS company. That's how the flow of money goes. And what's interesting to me is the customer is king, queen, and god, and they have to solve a problem. And then for any given vendor SaaS product, they're going through the same life cycle with you or without you. They have to find out about the product. They have to decide to buy it. They have to onboard, implement, expand, and retain and refer. Like, this is the same life cycle of any customer, whether they're doing it themselves directly or you're doing it on their behalf. Same life cycle phases. But what's interesting is agencies come in to that life cycle for a customer at different times, and they have different values. So you could be a reseller in the sense that the client hasn't even thought about the tool, and then you need it in order to solve a client project. You're not really reselling usually the product, unless you're a Google reseller, I suppose. But if you're doing a campaign, they want email marketing, so you're going to set up their marketing automation, and you're going to implement active campaign. It's not even a thing they care about. It's just like, okay, do it, right? And you got to use the tool. Or they could have already been onboarded an active campaign, and then now they sold, but now they need onboarding, implementation, consulting. And then, or they could be already an active customer of active campaign, like 2 years in, and they want to clean up their instance and expand it. And so the agency directories of the SaaS companies right now just put you all in one place. What I found interesting about Keep and Fusionsoft is that they would have onboarding implementation partners specifically for that phase of the life cycle. And I think that's what keyed me some years ago. Here in Clayton, Mass, got our conference, SaaS Connect. Secret, we have SaaS Connect and Agency Connect because I'm like that. I'm the internet's bartender. I buy everyone drinks.
I would buy a lot of drinks from you, pal, and that's just because you're so gosh darn pleasant to talk to. So, not even sarcasm. Like that is a real deal, like unfiltered compliment.
Well, it's amazing. I don't even need to go to mom-based marketing, which we talked about earlier. I'll tell you the joke. So I was at Inbound. This is now we're just. Whatever, it's the holidays. So I was at Inbound, and then I was talking to Rollworks, which is ABM. That's the whole thing. And this is I was here listening to account-based marketing, the whole conference. This is HubSpot's conference, and so I was just decided to get I'm a troll. So I went to Rollworks. I was like, ABM, you're so obsolete. That's like so last week. It's MBM. It's MBM now, and they were like, they're buying drinks, and they're just like. What's there was like annoyed. It's trolling them, right? It's like what is MBM? And it's like, is it mobile based marketing? No, that was like 5 years ago. No. Is it marketing based marketing? No, you sound like a lunatic saying marketing based marketing. What does that even mean? No, it's mom based marketing. I send you 2 emails, and then every week, if you don't buy after 2 emails, I start calling your mom every week. And I was like, Alex, there's a nice young man. He calls me every week. It's just sitting there. He wants me to buy AppBind. He calls me every week. He asks about your aunt. You should call her more often. She has cancer, Mom,
Oh
he's
my!
just sitting there. He wants you to buy AppBind. It's coming for Thanksgiving.
You know, I would, that level of marketing, it just, I would buy whatever it is they're selling. Like if that person's calling my mom and like guilt tripping her into telling me into guilt tripping me to buy the thing that you're selling. I mean, that's commitment right
It
there.
is. That's what I want the deal closed. And I'd show up at Thanksgiving with 2 contracts, one for AppBind, or one to be now your adopted brother. As you decide you want to be part of your family forever, or just make me go away. That's what it would be.
I mean, I think you've come up with the script for a very good, possibly viral video.
I pitched it at SaaStr to a VC, like deadpan, and they were like, and I was like, well, we already have we already have $7 million of revenue. Surprising, because we have merchandising, and surprisingly, warm sweaters are our #1 hit seller.
This makes my heart happy.
The tagline is, of course, is "Call your mom, or else we will." That's
keep going. Like this is like a weapon of mass distraction right here. This is yeah.
That's what you get. Clever insights or stand-up comedy. I mean, you trolled me pretty hard, so in the preps. So.
I did not do anything of the sort.
No, you're perfectly straight, deadpan. I'm the color commentary, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what? Look, I think if this podcast thing takes off, you definitely have a future in troll-based marketing. Or mom-based marketing, like TMB, MBM, or whatever. Yeah. So there we go.
All right. Thank you so much, Alex. Where do the internet trolls find you? Where's the websites and LinkedIn?
Okay. Well, thank you for the invite. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. So people can find me at digisavvy.com. That's my business website. You can find me on Twitter, Alex J. Vasquez, or LinkedIn using Alex J. Vasquez. So find me, say hi to me, call your mom, or Sunir will.
Yeah, that's right. That's how it goes. That's everyone. It's the holidays. I'll call everyone's mom. They deserve.
You know what? Yeah, please do. My mom would love to talk to more nice, kind men. So please.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For more great insights on partnerships and software, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.